folks, it's Gary Karp, that tarot guy, with your card of the day reflections for Wednesday, February 24th. As usual, the card of the day is pulled from the Rider-Waite deck. I truly believe that the Rider-Waite is the only deck you're ever going to need. That doesn't mean it's my only deck. I own about 12 to 15 tarot decks. The Rider-Waite deck is a deck I use all the time, and there are another 2 or 3 decks that are in heavy rotation. But my go-to deck, especially when I'm reading for clients or I'm reading at a psychic fair or a private party, is always the Rider-Waite deck. In my opinion, you're not really reading tarot unless you're reading the Rider-Waite deck and interpreting the cards and the symbols with the Rider-Waite. So, today's card of the day is the Fool. Now, the Fool is a very interesting card. I know a lot of people here think of the Fools as beginnings. And in a certain way it does, because the Fool is card 0. It's part of the Major Arcana, of the 22 Major Arcana cards, yet it also stands outside of the Major Arcana. The Major Arcana is numbered 1 through 22 in Roman numerals. The Fool is 0. And there is no number 0 in Roman numerals, right? So it stands outside of the Major Arcana. And really, one of the phrases for the Major Arcana is the Fool's journey. And that's because the Fool does stand outside. And if you think about the Major Arcana as a story or as a journey, it's the Fool that meets each one of the Major Arcana cards, each one of the archetypes, on his way from being the Fool to being a spiritually enlightened individual. For me, the Fool does represent beginnings, but it also represents an innocence, a naiveté, a childlike quality. While the rest of the world and society may worry about what's going on as far as the pandemic, politics, the world stage, or simply what's going on in your own personal life, none of this affects our Fools. He's totally oblivious to what's going on. He's just going around the world, going around his business, skipping or jumping or dancing, bathing in the golden light that's washing down around him. Nothing really bothers him. He has got that wonderful ability to not care. And it's not because the Fool is not compassionate. It's because he doesn't know any better. He has no life experiences yet, so he doesn't know what is required from him. The Fool represents the purity of joy and laughter and happiness. In a way, the start of the journey is really what we were all aspiring to be happy. Now, if we look at the Fool, we'll notice that he is carrying a sack behind him, almost like a hobo, right? The sack contains all of his experiences, everything that he has lived through and done up until this point. But you can see they're not affecting him. He's still as innocent as ever, because the sack is behind him. Now, the sack is held by a stick, but that's just not any stick. That stick is actually a wand. That's right, that stick is a wizard's wand. But the Fool has no comprehension of this. He doesn't realize the power that he wields. He doesn't understand the power of creation that is inside of him if he would just stop and look at it. But in his innocence, he doesn't have the comprehension to stop and take a deeper journey. You can see that there's a dog nipping at his heels. Some people believe the dog is dancing alongside of him. Now, this dog, and in some decks it's a cat, in other decks it's a crocodile, really represents the animalistic side of the Fool. It represents his animal nature, which he lives by all the time. The fool doesn't have borders or guards up around him. What he thinks, he says. What he wants to do, he does without fear of repercussions or who he's hurting or what's going to happen. And it doesn't come from a place of being selfish. Again, our fool doesn't know better. So tonight, while you're meditating on the energy of the fool, think about all the ways that you can return to innocence, because that's vitally important in today's day and age, especially with everything going on. We need a little bit of innocence. But as you're thinking about this, but as you are meditating on the Fool's card and thinking about the innocence and how you can get it back in life, always remember to temper that with the knowledge that you have gained. Don't let the experiences live behind you so you don't learn from them. Integrate them and incorporate them into your everyday life so you can learn the lessons and you can grow and be ready for your next challenge or your next opportunity. Well, folks, that's what I got for you today regarding the Fool. Truthfully, I can talk about the Fool and this card for hours and days and weeks because I really think it is the most important card in the entire tarot deck. It ties in, of course, to the Major Arcana, as we spoke about earlier, where it is the Fool representing the everyman, meaning you and me, on the journey through the archetypes and our journey from innocence to spiritual enlightenment. But the Fool also shows up in the Minor Arcana. He shows up in various suits and he shows up in various numbers. And we can talk a little bit about that later. I will probably be discussing that on my extended card of the day readings, which is an exclusive for my Patreon supporters. If you're interested in listening to that and getting the extended card of the day where I dive deeper into the symbology and I dive deeper into the meanings, and I also give some practical advice from my life coaching experience on how you can step into the energies of the Fool and the other cards of the day that we pull, then please go to www.patreon.com/thattarotguy and drop $1 in my tip jar. It just costs you $1. And for that $1, you will get a full month's worth of extended card of the day reflections. You will also find other content on there. I'm starting to put unboxing videos on there. One of my first unboxing videos is coming up within the next day or two, and it's going to be on the Divine Abundance Oracle deck. So I'm really looking forward to diving into this and seeing what it's all about and sharing that with you. You're also going to get my video blog. Now, this may or may not have anything to do with tarot. A lot of times it's just going to be me talking about the thoughts in my head. It may be a rant, or I may just simply be talking about the MCU. I don't know. What you're going to get is what you're going to get. So if you're interested in that, please visit www.patreon.com/thattarotguy and drop $1 in my tip jar. I would truly appreciate it. It lets me know that you find value in these card of the day reflections and will allow me to create more content for you. So until tomorrow, have a great day.